My name is Insane Raven. I'm back with another IR review. Are you ready? Let's go. So, we're doing Pacific Rim Uprising, and you know what? It's good. It's a fun movie. Now, I do mean it's a fun movie. It is a movie that you can turn off your brain, you can watch, and you'll be like, oh, okay. But then immediately your turned off brain is going to be like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Because there's so much happening in this movie. It's ridiculous. And I do mean that. Like, I saw this movie yesterday, and I needed to take the time to just process everything. So the movie starts out with Finn from Star Wars, and that's me. I should probably call him by his name, John Bodega, or Jack, as he's called in the film. Kind of walking up and doing his thing, and be like, and he's Idris Elba's son, not father, from the original movie, and being like, I am not my father. My father saved people. I'm not my father. I squat in a mansion, and I'm a street rat. I don't buy that. And he's all this bravado and street ruffian, and he comes across as this really arrogant but kind of cool guy. He kind of comes off as the guy, like, you know, and like the guy who's out of high school that hangs out with high schoolers, giving the high schoolers drugs, and be like, yeah, it's a good time. So skeevy, but kind of he pulls it off in a way that's not offensive to everyone. Anyway, moving back on, and the movie kind of starts out with him meeting this girl, when he's trying to steal a thing and the plan goes awry. So when he tries to steal the thing, she ends up stealing the thing, and it hijinks into where cops get involved, and his current deal goes south, and everything's going wrong, and they immediately end up meeting each other and not liking each other at all, and it ends up being a bit of a mess how they meet up, and they end up in a jail cell. Well, easily my favorite line in this entire movie gets said, and it's when they're sitting in a jail cell and they're arguing, and he's like, also, this isn't spoilers because it happens within the first like 20 minutes of the movie, so it's not really a spoiler. And if you think it's a spoiler, you're wrong. Where he goes, you know, your bottom lip and your top lip should meet in the middle and become friends. Shut up. And it's the greatest line. Just the greatest line ever in a movie. And just the fact that after the movie, my friend was like, yeah, here you go. And said that line to me, unironically, makes it better. Makes it so much better. But yes, it's a great line. And as you know from the plot of the trailers of the movie, the whole plot is that the kaiju have come back and the Jaegers are still around, apparently. And the thing that I find is kind of interesting is that it's been 10 years since the last kaiju attack, but apparently they just keep the Jaegers up and running in case they ever come back, and for reasons. Because even though everyone in the general vicinity doesn't believe that the kaiju will come back, they're still kind of there for reasons, and it's weird. I don't get it. I don't get why people are still doing this, because once this new girl character, Anna Marie, or whatever her name was, Maria or something like that. I forgot her name. But once this little girl builds her own thing that John Bodega meets, builds her own thing, they send like one of the cooler Jaegers to be like, hey, get out of your rogue Jaeger. Which makes me think, wait, is this a problem? Is this a problem they've been having, that people are just building their own things? Which is like, it's not something I kind of want them to go into, but it just makes me curious about the world. It's like, hey, is this an issue? It might be an issue. I need to know if it is an issue. But apparently it's not an issue because it never gets brought up. Of like, yeah, we've had a lot of rogue Jaegers come about. It's like, oh, alright. Cool, I guess. I don't fucking know. As the movie kind of continues, you kind of see that, and I've seen a lot of people say that Pacific Rim was their favorite, is one of their favorite movies, just because it's a perfect love letter to the kaiju genre of giant monster films and giant robot films. It's this love letter to all of them, and how all this is, such a perfect showing of what the genre can do, type thing. And watching this movie, it kind of just feels like they're like, oh hey, here's this thing that you can buy, here's this thing that you can buy, and it's like, oh, okay, like they do like a smash cut basically of where they show off all of the Jaegers with with the fangirl naming them off, and it's like, oh, there's that one, and then there's that one, and then there's that one. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm glad I can buy these, type thing. I don't know, it's not the love letter that people love the first movie for, that's for sure. So, oh, sorry. So there's that, but also like there's so many plot lines in this movie. There's that plot line. Oh, I forgot my call sign's ridiculous. There's that plot line of, how these two how John Bodega's character and this little girl's character interact. Then there's the plot line of how does John Bodega's character with his faux brother of the Jaeger squad, and this girl who's gonna get this romantic triangle thing all out, which ends up being a possible, with the girl saying, basically being like, I mean, I'm up for a threesome if you're up for a threesome. Which even Jake is like, that's kind of weird. That's weird. Are we gonna talk about how weird that was? That's weird. I'm not sure how to talk about that. Which, I mean, okay. That's really the only thing I can say about that. Like, okay. Then there's the whole, then there's the plot line of Jake, Finn, John trying to become the action hero his father was, because he's quote unquote, I'm not my father. Then there's the whole plot line with the drones, and how, because like having Jaeger pilots is such an issue for piloting these things, because of the whole needing to drift together, needing to sync brains together, needing to mishmash all this together. It's just, oh, okay. And it makes sense, because like the next logical step would be to like, hey, fuck it, build drones, and that way we don't have to worry about finding people that are compatible to work together. So that's like maybe the only thing that makes sense in this entire film, is that little piece right there. So there's that going on. Then there's that. Then there's the whole plot line of, will the new girl get accepted into this like summer camp-esque Jaeger pilot training sequence, and will she be accepted as the new recruit, and or won't she, type thing, which again makes no sense at all why that's a concern. I mean, she built her own Jaeger. It's definitely, like, she definitely has the skills to pay the bills. And that storyline kind of meshes in with the storyline of, oh, is she going to get along with the Russian? Because the Russian is really the only one she's having issues with. because Russian jokes? I don't fucking know. And it's just absolute crazy where that's coming from. Well, that all ties in. Like, there's so much going on in this movie. I literally spent 3 minutes describing all the plot lines. I think that's 3 minutes. I probably should have double checked before I said that. But I spent about 3 minutes describing all the plot lines in this movie and how only one of them ends, because that's the one they spend the least amount of time on. And I feel like I could spoil that for you without saying spoiler alerts. Also, you forget that it's a part of the thing. You forget that it's a part of the thing because the movie forgot it's a part of a thing, and instead kind of just used it to make cheap jokes on movies. Like, movies a mess, dude. Movies a mess. And someone had to say it. So there's all that going on. But not only is there all that going on, there's also just the complete lack of regard to certain characters that should have gotten more love. There are 3 characters that come back from the original movie. And the 2 doctors and I think her name's like Mono or something. But she's the cute Asian girl from the first movie who's been aged up a bit because, it's been 10 years. Understandable. Oh, my bad. And it ends up just being a hot mess. And when you only have 3 characters, you figure 3 characters from the original coming over to the sequel. But so that should have told everyone something. That should have, clued everyone in. It's like, hey, maybe this won't be as good of a sequel as we would like. Because when do so few of the original cast come back to do the film again? I don't think so, mate. Like, these are the warning signs, and we missed them. But now, so there's a lot of stuff this movie has going on, and it barely gives adequate time to all of its plot lines to justify them being there. The love triangle plotline ends up being used for jokes more than actually being a thing, which is frustrating because they spend all time on it, and they waste time in the movie discussing it and making jokes about it, but that's all it really ever is. So you don't have time to care about that. They give a whole prologue introduction to what happened in the first film, just in case you didn't watch the first film, and was like, hey, what happened in my giant robot fighting giant monster movie? I need to know for plot reasons. And they do a whole recap on that, suggesting that these are the same things that are going to kind of carry over into this film. Then they don't. Then there's the whole, there's the whole conversation on what drones can be and could lead to, and it could have been a really interesting thing of like, hey, right, America right now is losing a shit ton of jobs to robots. Why don't we talk about that? Or why don't we do something like that? Because that could have been a really interesting thing to do. It would have been a very brave thing to do. But nope. Nothing. I mean, I'm not sure how much I would have liked a whole those robots are taking our jobs type plot line either, but, I think what I'm trying to say is, I don't know what I want out of this movie, but it wasn't what I got. I wanted more cool-ass action set pieces. Well, robots do things, and I didn't get it. But, I mean, and the other issue is that the action isn't all that great. Like, it's good, and it's what I expected out of things, but it's not like, whoa, that blew me away. It was like, oh, okay, that was a cool action set piece. Glad I saw that, but it wasn't like oh, that took me away, dude. That blew my bloody mind. Like, that doesn't happen. And I wanted it to. But it doesn't. Which is the one thing that, even if you didn't like the original Pacific Rim, the original movie did have. It had these things that was like, oh, wasn't that cool as shit? This movie didn't have that. It didn't have any of these cool as shit moments. And it's disappointing, really. But all in all, that's my review. It's a decent film. It's not a great film, not a horror film. It's a decent film. And whereas the first film was emotional and did things, this movie doesn't. And this movie is just there. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing that this movie almost goes down a... This movie almost goes down a Transformer-esque path where I made a Transformer joke while I was watching the film, which isn't something you want at all. It's not something that you want in your film. It's not something that you want to draw any comparisons to. And yet, I made the comparisons quite easily. Which is, again, it's just one of those things that it's disappointing. And it should be known as it is disappointing. But all in all, that's what I have for the spoiler-free section of this video. If you guys saw Pacific Rim and you have a different opinion, or if you still want to go see Pacific Rim, you should bail out now. For those of you who are still staying to watch me give my spoiler review, hi, welcome, and let's begin. So, let's talk spoilers. So I'm going to kind of take each of the plot lines individually and explain how those all end. I'll start from like the lowest to the bigger ones. John Boyega becoming an action star. He does. Does the girl become accepted by her peers and do things in the movie? She does. Does oh, I'm dying. Yeah. Do the drone thing work out? No, they don't. Who wins in the end? The good guys. So, with all this kind of said, I want to talk about the one character death that was so half-assed done. It was concerning. Like, they kill off Mono, or whatever her name, the Asian girl, and I feel terrible that I forgot her name. But they kill her off. And you know, I would be okay with them killing her off if it was done with this kind of reverence. It was like, oh, we're playing with a new board game now. Everything is different. No one could have seen this coming. But they don't. Instead, they kill her off, and they're like, oh, hey, let's just kill her off and move on with our day. Like, I think they give her as much love and as much treatment as Han Solo got in Force Awakens. Also, spoiler alert for a movie that's 3 years old. Hans dies in the end. It's just such a... Oh, for this character who is like such an emotional and driving force of the first movie, to get killed off and brushed aside within the first 30 minutes of the film, it's like, oh, okay. I guess we didn't need this character who was so important in the first time around. Okay. Cool, I guess. Like, it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing how it's done. It's so disappointing that there's almost no thoughts put into it. And it is heartbreaking that it's done almost without consequence. Like, John does his hero run where he goes to save the day after he's already dead, and with the exception of this like reaching out moment where it's like, oh, that was the moment. That was the moment we got. That was the moment we wanted out of this. It doesn't happen. It doesn't get paid off in the end. It's not something that it's just disappointing in the end. And there really isn't anything to say about it. It's just, it happened, and we're kind of told, alright, cool, move on quickly. And it's like, wait, what? And it's so disappointing in the end. And I got distracted by all the pretty things. With her death is kind of brushed off, and there wasn't even like a chance of saving her with the way they did it. And that's probably the biggest infraction this movie does, is that there is no chance of saving her. Nor was there ever a chance of saving her. It's just disappointing. There's no other way of saying it. It's such a disappointment. There's nothing really in that moment that's sacrificed. And you think that it would come up later with like the drifting, because you have to be in perfect mental sync, and you have to be together as one. You have to be able to really work together and be this awesome force, and nope, doesn't happen. It's never a thing that gets brought up. It's nope. And it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And that's the other thing. I feel like this movie also forgot that there are deep emotional impacts to things. Like, because there are moments in this film where it's like, oh, right, drifting has to be done by being in perfect memory sync. And it doesn't. Like, you see that the girl has her own trauma because her parents got killed in an Acme Studios type of way. We see that he has trauma from his dad and his sister dying and all these things. And you think it's like, okay, this is where you're going to get those emotional payoffs. You're going to get into the psychology of these characters. And this is where it's going to exist. And nothing. There's nothing for it. It's so bad that it's almost brushed off by all the characters. And it's like, you're not going to even try. You're not going to even try to get it done. Okay. Cool. But yeah, this movie is just such a disappointment on every ground. Characters are just killed off without thinking. It's just, I don't know. There's never been a more disappointing movie than this, what we were given, when it comes to all the potential it had and everything that the first movie set up. It's just, and that's the thing. If it wasn't for the first movie, I'd say, oh yeah, cool. This is a decent B-rated like action flick. Not a big deal. These come and go, and they'll be here to the end of time. When you want to just make a cheesy B-rated action flick, this movie will be here. But it's because of the pedigree and the emotional impact that the first movie had. Where like, no, how these characters are feeling are important. How the psychological steps are important. Like, these things that the movie kind of pushes, these things are important. And it never comes to fruition in this movie. And I feel bad for the fans of the original Pacific Rim, because this is a movie that's just, nope. In the end, this movie was made so that a studio can make a quick buck, and that's probably the worst fates a movie could get. But that's just my opinion, and I'm not the biggest diehard fan of this film. Maybe I'm being too harsh on my giant monster fighting giant robot movie. But let me know. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you saw Pacific Rim, I want to know your opinions. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what kind of goes on. Also, she does get along with the Russian girl. Forgot to mention that. And she is accepted by her peers. All things that I forgot to mention because I could spend my time with better things in this movie. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening to me rant. Thank you for watching me get that ultra kill, because that was cool as shit. And I'll see you guys next time.